welcome back. You are now listening to Diaries of a Working Couple. My name is Jamie.
And I'm Chris.
And a group of bunnies, while sometimes known as a colony, is also known as a fluffle.
Really? A fluffle?
A fluffle. Isn't that adorable?
Wow. Yeah, you're coming up with some good intros here. I really like it. They need to continue.
I'm going to do my best.
The day you forget is going to be a very sad day, and I will make sure to bring it up.
I want you to understand whenever we set a recording date and time, I start thinking about fun facts. And earlier today when you asked me, oh, do you have your intro ready? And I was like, yeah. And you're like, what is it? And I'm like, I'm not going to tell you.
A fluffle.
A fluffle. Isn't that cute?
I think we have a fluffle problem in our backyard with the amount of turd piles there are.
Oh my gosh. We have bunnies. I think they live under that front bush.
Maybe.
Or under our neighbors, like side bushes.
I don't know, but there's just tons of little rabbit turds all over.
There are also lots of little rabbits everywhere.
I know. We went outside the other day. Me and Nug went outside for her nightly tinkle, and there was just a little rabbit chilling out there.
Yeah, she doesn't really go after bunnies.
I've seen her run towards one, and she's ready to chase it, but then the rabbit takes off, and she's like, "Yeah, no, there's no way."
She's like, nah. I've seen her start quickly walking towards one, and I go, "What?" And then she stops and looks at me. So
like we mentioned last episode, we ordered some Mexican.
What was it called? It was
Las Fritas.
Las
right?
Fritas.
Las Fritas. It's a new Mexican place near our house. It
opened at the end of June.
I was going to say,
this year.
It's very, very new. It's got a 4.5 star rating on Google.
Yes.
There was two people that were very unhappy with their experience. And then about everybody else said that it was great.
Yep. So I got a shrimp and bacon burrito.
And I got a chicken and chorizo burrito.
And I thought it was good.
So I have to say there was one comment on the Google reviews, and maybe it tainted me a little bit coming into the experience, but they said that the chorizo, they thought it was ground beef that had chorizo flavoring put in it. And after eating that burrito, one, I think it did have a very ground beef texture to it, and it looked like ground beef.
But isn't chorizo just sausage? Isn't it a spicy sausage?
Yeah.
So wouldn't that turn into ground beef or no?
I don't know. I've just never seen it in this form before. I feel
Okay.
like usually it's in kind of bigger chunks. But I have to say it tasted great anyway. I am not very picky when it comes to eating food as long as it tastes good. So I was very satisfied with my burrito. I could see where this ground beef conversation could come up, but also they might just chop up the chorizo super small like that, and it gives a ground beef feel to it. I don't know. I was very satisfied. If I had to rate the restaurant, a 4.6, 4.7, I feel like their rating right now is pretty appropriate.
Yeah, it's very on par. Mine was really good. The only thing I wish I didn't do was my burrito came with pico, and I don't like tomatoes, so I should have ordered it without the pico. But, and the only other thing is we ordered chips and queso, and they gave us chips sans queso.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, the chips were really good. They were sturdy, quality restaurant tortilla chips.
I was so full by the time I was done the burrito that I wouldn't have probably ate a lot of queso.
But at the same time, we did get churros.
We did get churros. We got 2 orders of churros because we thought that, maybe a pack of churros would be too a pack or
like
something?
2 or 3, and I was gonna have some, and Chris was gonna have some, so we figured, okay, we'll do 2 orders.
And you have to have some for leftovers too, because they're churros.
Well, we do.
Yeah, so it turns out 6 churros per order
7.
is, huh?
I think there were 7.
How many did you put in your?
3.
Yeah, and I had 3.
Oh, okay. Maybe. I don't know what I was thinking.
Which brings me back to my dieting point. It's going poorly, but no, it was super good though.
Support local businesses, though.
Yeah, the burrito was great, and then we had the churros were still warm, and I dropped some ice cream on top of that, and oh boy, they were good.
Yes. So they were. I just had put mine on a plate and drizzled some chocolate sauce on top.
Chocolate sauce. So yeah, they were super good. I have a new cocktail for this recording session.
Per usual.
I did the child out of soda machine type style of making a cocktail, where I just went and grabbed a bunch of things and poured it into my cup. Once again, it is a blue looking cocktail because I love blue curacao, and that's what I put in pretty much all of the cocktails I make. You know, except for basic Jack and Cokes and like other things like old fashions and stuff.
You know, things that are standardized with the recipe.
Yeah, but yeah, I went with blue curacao, strawberry pucker, lime
Raspberry.
juice, raspberry vodka, just pretty much every, we got a bunch of bottles on our bar. I just picked up a bunch of fruity things and dumped them into a cup, and you get this nice dark blue tint, and it's pretty tasty. And the club soda, gives it a little pop, pop.
Pow pow. And why do you insist on doing that?
Our audience likes ASMR.
I don't think they do.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, but a lot of people like that, and it's creepy to me.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, if it's ASMR for like restocking or like crafty things that don't involve chewing or slurping, I'm here for it. But anything like when people chew or drink or even like talk, and you can hear every little thing, like you can hear the spit flying from their mouth, that's where I like draw the line.
Oh, so I listened to a podcast from 2 comedians, Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer, and called Two Bears, One Cave, and it is a very, very funny podcast, but that was the first time that I've ever heard of, like, they had a girl do ASMR audio clips for Bert, and I never knew that was a thing, but people like pay for this.
And it literally, listening to it, you could hear,
I was just cringing the whole time.
literally you could hear her like tongue and cheeks and like lips, and you could hear them like working together to make sounds, which I understand is a thing, but it was, since she was whispering, it was so amplified, and it
Yeah, that's exactly, that sound that Jamie just made is exactly what it makes you feel when you listen to it, unless you're into that stuff, but
we are not.
I am not. No, but Spank Ranch Garage videos on YouTube, sometimes he puts out ASMR stuff of him working in his garage on vehicles and stuff, and I can get down with that type of ASMR.
That's fine. Like I said, if it doesn't have to do with chewing, slurping, or talking, I love watching ASMR of like sign making or organizing or restocks.
Yep.
Crafty stuff. I love that. Anything that's just can be more considered ambient noise, that I can get behind. But talking like this into a microphone, it really is not my cup of tea.
I don't even think the microphone was picking up on that very much, because I'm looking at the sound waves right now and they're very small.
I thought it was.
We'd have to boost your mic probably to pick that up.
If we do, I'm sorry, guys.
We're not going to boost the mic.
Yeah, it just might be silent. That's fine. I am drinking. I was at the grocery store today, and they always have this last chance it's not even a shelf or like a section. It's just like this little itty bitty shelving unit that's maybe
One of the things at the end of an aisle.
not even.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would be one of those things at the end of an aisle or like in the middle of the like personal hygiene section or the medication section where it's like a wire rack and has stuff, but it's not like an end cap.
Okay.
It's just one of those like space filler kind of things.
Hashtag retail life.
But really though. But I was looking because they had some last chance items and I found a couple good things there. So I got, what did I say the name of the brewing company was called?
I don't remember now.
They're out of Mifflinburg, Pennsylvania. I want to say it was like
something with 2 R's.
Yeah, it was like Rock Ridge Road, Ridge something brewery. Long story short, the beer that I'm drinking is called Skies Out, Thighs Out. It has a flamingo on the front, and it is a pink lemonade sour.
And how is it?
It's pretty good. It's pretty tart. I haven't had too big of a gulp yet, but the few sips I've had, it has been pretty good. It's not too tart.
That's good. Yeah, you like sour stuff.
I do. When I drink beer, it either needs to be sour or fruity. I can't do any of the in-between stuff. Like I don't do IPAs, I don't do any type of pale ale or lager. It's just not my go-to. It has to be like super fruity or sour. I can't do any of the in-between.
Yeah, last time we went out, you tried a few sours, and then you also had the crushes. I mean, fruit, any type of fruit crushes are so good. Or,
well, when we were in,
I was referring to when we went to Maryland for
yes,
dinner with Karen. And
when we saw Karen and Christian. When we went to Boston, when we were at the...
That's true. You did have some like normal beers then.
I did, but I didn't. So like I had their like summer ale, which was super fruity. There was one I wanted to try. It was cherry wheat. And it was another ale. And I was like, maybe because I like the fruity stuff, it tasted straight like medicine.
That's the one I had to
That's
drink.
the one that you drank.
Yeah, my experience at the Sam Adams Tap House was a little rough just because out of my flight, 2 of the 4 beers were
Bitter,
iffy. I don't know.
it was bitter, and because I think I tried them because I was like, oh, I might like them, but they weren't sour. They were bitter, and it stuck in the like on the back of your tongue.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of 2 of them that I had. 2 of them were pretty good. But then we got one more beer when we were there, and Jamie got the one that she just mentioned and another one, and I just told her I would drink the one that she didn't, which was like the cherry medicine type one.
You said it didn't taste as bad.
It's not that bad.
Did you say that, or you're like, oh yeah, it's not bad? Did you just say that to make me feel not guilty?
It wasn't terrible. I wouldn't order it.
That's fair.
If that answers your question. I don't know.
That's fair.
I mean, like, I can drink anything, though. You know, if you drink, Natty Light and, some of the other stuff that I drank
if you
throughout
drank
college.
bargain beer.
Yeah, bargain beer is a great way to describe it. If you drink anything that's under $13 for a case, then you can drink anything.
Anything else you wanna mention? Wanna bring up? We went through food. We went through drinks.
Yeah, I don't know.
We have not had the chance to try Lucia's recipe yet. That is going to be on our next episode.
Hopefully, yeah. We have the supplies for it.
I will make sure it is on our next episode. I'm not saying I'm going to be able to make it well, being the first time I'm trying this recipe.
That is another thing, yeah, if people send in recipes and stuff, specifically for cocktails for me, measuring out stuff is sometimes a little too difficult for me, so I just free pour. And it's not always going to leave you with the most accurate representation of what the cocktail is, but
That is true.
I'm going to
But
do it anyway.
we do have a jigger to help us measure everything out.
That is true. Yep.
So I know when we did the Blue Hawaiian, Chris measured everything out. Or not the Blue Hawaiian.
Blue Hawaiian?
Not the Blue Hawaiian. It's
What
the
are we,
Honolulu.
back in Jamaica again?
Oh, I wish. No, that's the recipe that's on the back of the Curacao bottle. But
They also had that when we were in Jamaica. Yeah. Purple Rain.
Purple Rain.
That was my
good.
favorite drink of our honeymoon.
There was one, and I can't remember what it was, but it was like a strawberry banana drink.
I have a picture of both sides of the menu.
And it was
Which
like
tells you what's in it.
a mockingbird or a hummingbird something.
Yep.
It was delicious.
I have a picture of that menu, so we can get it.
We'll have to try that. But today's topic, Chris and I were sitting around, and he's like, what are we going to record about? Because we don't like doing a lot of heavy episodes or more serious episodes just because they're not fun to, and I don't want to say they're not fun to do, but they're more serious. They're not as lighthearted.
We try to mix them up.
And we definitely don't like having you guys listen to a lot of serious stuff in a row. We try to keep it light. So this time we're going to talk about pets.
Pets.
So growing up, I had a number of fish before we got our first dog, and I was terrified of dogs. And since then we had Sarah, and now we have Lava. And I know Chris had a couple dogs growing up.
We also had other pets. We had fish.
You did?
Yes. We had a fish tank that, if you remember being in my parents' family room, there's like this 3 CD thing that's up like next to where my dad sits normally.
I've never seen that
used to be a fish
used.
tank there at one point. Oh, yeah, no, we got that radio a long time ago. Long time ago. We maybe used it, I don't know, 10 times. But, yeah, we used to have a fish tank there. And we used to have little fishies.
What kind of fish? Do you know?
That's a great question. I don't know. I don't necessarily remember. I didn't necessarily take care of them either. So
What? No.
Yeah. See, I was.
Let me guess. Was that your mom's job?
I think my dad.
Really?
My dad took care of the fish.
Did he try to pet them? I know he loves snuggling up with Lava and Susie.
No. We had like a small fish tank though, so like it was probably like some small goldfish and stuff.
Okay.
I do remember like the St. Stan's fair that's like near our house, like the church that's near our house. They would always have a game where you can throw, I guess, a ping pong ball, and they have like a bunch of like small goldfish things, and then like if it lands in one, you get a goldfish.
Nice.
So there was times where I would come home with 3 or 4 fishies from there. Other than fish and dogs, we used to get hermit crabs when we were at the beach.
I'm sure your mom loved that.
Hermit crabs were a big fad. You know, it was super exciting until they died, and then you get all sad.
How long did your oldest one live?
That's a great question. I don't know.
More than like a week?
I feel like we've had at least one where we had to get a shell that was a little bit bigger so that it could grow. So like, you know, probably like 3+ weeks.
Okay.
But yeah, I remember I had a small little cylindrical type cage for one. You know, really I wish we could dial Barry in here, because like Barry's memory of being a small child is like so clear to him that like, you know, he could probably go very detailed into our hermit crab life.
We'll have to have him on one time.
Yeah. But yeah, hermit crabs, fish. I think that's really it though. And then it was just the doggos.
And how many did you guys have? 3, including Susie? Is it 3? Was it Tabby, Max?
Yes.
And Susie?
Yes. Well, my dad had a dog growing up, and that dog's name was Toby, I believe.
Goodbye, Toby.
Yeah. Toby Flenderson. Yeah, so he had a dog named Toby, and it was a bigger dog. Like, he was a big dog guy. So I'm pretty sure I'm not sure what kind of dog it was, but I would say like German Shepherd sized dog, like
Okay.
possibly a Shepherd or something similar. I never known that dog. Like, that dog passed away when my dad was growing up. Probably maybe he had it when he met my mom, but probably not much longer than that. If it even made that length of time. So yeah, he had a dog. I don't think my mom never had a dog growing up.
Did she have any pets? She didn't have a cat because she's allergic to cats. Correct?
Yeah. I'm trying to think because I feel like one of her siblings lost an animal in the house.
Was it like a hamster or something?
Something like that. I can't. Don't quote me on it. I'll have to ask my mom. So we should probably just scratch this whole story. But I swear I heard a story like that recently from somebody from my mom's family. But I don't. Otherwise, like, dogs, they didn't have a dog when they grew up. So
my dad had a dog. It was a mutt, Dippy.
Dippy.
Dippy. I actually don't know how that's.
What is that short for?
I don't think it's short for anything. I think they just called him Dippy. But Dippy, everyone knew Dippy. He would get out in the morning when the kids went to school, and he'd come back when the kids came home. And he would just kind of roam around.
Roam around the neighborhood?
Yeah, all the neighbors knew him. My mom had
like an old school Stella.
Yeah, like an old school Stella.
Yeah, our neighbor has a dog named Stella, and she just kind of roams the neighborhood sometimes.
I love Stella, so don't get me wrong. I love Stella. Stella is one of my favorite doggos in our neighborhood. No joke, one time I had the garage door open because I was just loading groceries from my trunk into the kitchen before I shut everything up. I closed everything up afterwards. I went and was putting groceries away, and I heard some tippy taps in our kitchen. I was like, oh, Bubba's probably just walking around. Then I look over, and Lava's literally just sitting next to me. And I was like, who is tippy tapping? Stella had gotten into our house, coming through our garage, into our garage, through our garage door, and then it was just roaming around our house.
And Stella's owners have no idea where she's at, and they just don't pay attention that much.
Stella just roams.
Yeah.
Stella's the neighborhood's dog.
She's a neighborhood dog.
If we had a mascot, it would be Stella.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I love Stella, but she just kind of wanders. Everyone knows Stella. And whenever they see her wandering around, if she gets too close to the main road, we're like, okay, Stella, let's go back. Sometimes she'll join us for walks. She's a free bird, free spirit.
Free spirit dog, which I feel like you don't see that too often in cul-de-sacs.
You don't. My mom had a dog. Her name was Duchess. It was a Bichon. Just like Sarah.
Are Bichons barky? Like, do they bark a lot? They're pretty vocal.
Sarah did.
Yeah.
Sarah was vocal. I can't speak for other Bichons. I know our neighbors had a Bichon, and she wasn't super vocal from what I remember. That doesn't mean she wasn't vocal, but like, they moved away when we were young, so I don't remember 100% how vocal Chelsea was.
Yeah.
But
yeah, when I was growing up, our first dog was Tabby, and I don't know what kind of dog Tabby was.
Who requested the dog? Did anyone request the dog? Did anyone say, hey, I want a dog? Or were your parents just like, hey, let's get a dog?
I don't know. I think, it was a parent decision.
Okay.
It was a parent decision.
How old were you when you guys got Tabby?
Pretty young. Very young. So, like, I don't remember Tabby very much. Like, if I had to picture what she looked like, I don't remember. I do remember going to the hospital because she bit me behind my ear once.
Behind your ear?
That's what I mean. That's how small I was, right? Like this dog was able to.
Like, are you talking like here?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, because that was a big deal. Because, like, my mom had to bring me to the hospital about that. I think that's why. I think they finally ended up having to put her down because of that. Because anytime that
That's
you
so
have a
sad.
child and a dog that causes injury to a child, there's, people question and start to get involved, and it's just it's not a fun
Yeah.
situation. So yeah, we had Tabby. I don't remember much about her, but yeah, I did have an injury from her. So eventually she got put down.
Poor Tabby. But also poor you.
Yeah, and then our next dog was Max, MAXX.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah, it's double X.
He was
and
hardcore.
yeah, so we were at the beach with Nana, which is my dad's mom. And I think I said in our family vacations episode that we would go to the beach with her once a year for a week in Ocean City, New Jersey. And we saw a commercial on TV from like a rescue, that they had all these puppies. And I guess me and Barry really wanted a dog, and we convinced my parents to go just to look.
It's never just to look.
Just to look. And,
I know,
we
it's
were
never
between.
just to look. Tell him, Bubba.
And we were between two different dogs. We were between Max, and there was one other dog that was like a little fluffier. And that dog was just sitting on top of all the other dogs. And our idea was to call that dog King if we were to get him.
Good call.
But we ended up going with Max. We named Max with two X's because Barry had an RC car that was called a T-Max, which had two X's as well. Very popular high-end RC car. You could still buy them today at Traxxas.
Is that what you guys were talking about?
That's what we were talking
night?
about. Yeah, when we went out for Barry's birthday dinner, because he still has his, and they are super cool. Anyway, so yeah, we got Max when we were at the beach, and I remember we put her in. We had like a square cooler bag.
You put him in a bag?
We put him in a bag to get him home. Like we put like a towel in the bag, not a cooler bag, but like the square coolers that are like they're kind of made out of the same material as like a cooler bag would be, but they like it has like the square lid, and then you can like it has the separate like smaller drink door on it.
You got some fancy coolers.
It's got wheels on it and stuff. Anyway, yeah, we just left the top open, but we put him in there with a towel, but like it was a puppy, so like he peed in there and stuff, but we needed something to get him home. And we weren't expecting to buy a dog when we were at the beach for our family vacation. So yeah, we had Max for a while, and as Max got older, Max started to get a little more aggressive in terms of food and stuff.
What kind of dog was Max?
Max was what they told us was a lab shepherd mix.
Okay.
I think, but I don't know how much validity there is there. Max had the color scheme of like he had black fur, but then he had like the two like brown dots above his eyes.
More like a Rottweiler.
I would think like a Rottweiler,
okay.
like kind of color scheme, but he didn't really have any other features of a Rottweiler except for that.
Other than that,
yeah.
Should have done DNA test.
Yeah, we could have. Well, I don't know if that existed back then. But yeah, as Max got older, I don't think our family was the best in terms of being strict about handing food off of tables and stuff like that.
You don't think they were the best?
No, I think that there was a lot of times where we fed Max off the table.
I feel like they still are not the best.
Oh, well,
The only
yeah, but
only difference is the dog size has changed.
yeah, exactly. So, and like, we probably should have always started with a smaller dog like that. But
I mean, you
eventually,
did.
Max started to get kind of aggressive. There was like a time where, like, my mom was eating, and I walked up and put my hands on the table, and he jumped up and bit my like hand. Like, not a serious bite, but it got kind of aggressive. And then eventually, in like 2014, I would say, or 2015. Max had a time where he went wild and he ended up like attacking my dad, and he was on the couch and like his arm got all chewed up, and like he was like smacking him with a pillow or whatever to get him off because he was like on the couch. But yeah, so like I found out when Barry graduated, like we were at his graduation ceremony, and my mom's great with throwing
Oh my gosh.
things into casual conversation. Like she breaks a lot of news just casually when you're talking about other things, but
Just brings it up like it's no big deal.
yeah, so I think like we were at the end of Barry's graduation, like we watched the whole ceremony, and then like right before I left, she was just like, "Hey, just to let you know, like, we put Max down." So that was kind of sad. But then after Max, quite a few years went by.
When'd you guys get Susie?
That's true. It probably wasn't that. It probably wasn't that a lot of years. I don't know what year. Well, Barry had to graduate. Let me see. I don't know. There was probably like 4 or 5 years
Okay.
ish. Okay, let's say 3 to 4. Anyway, that doesn't really it doesn't really matter. But some time went by. And Barry at the time was dating this girl who had a Shih Tzu. And we learned from that relationship that Shih Tzus are just like the most relaxed lap dog that you could have.
I was wondering how you guys got from big dogs to Shih Tzus.
Well, it's not like we were actively looking, really. And then, like, I think my mom, after interacting with Barry's ex's dog, like, I think my mom finally started to want to like get her feet wet with like looking casually, just like on Craigslist and stuff to see.
Just to look.
Yeah, just to see if anybody had any Shih Tzus or anything similar to a Shih Tzu in the local area. And it happened to be around her birthday. Her dad or my pop-up brought us out to dinner, and we found an ad on Craigslist like right before we left for dinner, and this woman was giving away her Shih Tzu because she was younger. She was like 17, and she claimed that she was pregnant, so that she couldn't take care of the dog because she was going to have a baby soon. So she said she was giving her away for free, which is kind of unbelievable because most people ask for some type of rehoming fee for dogs. Some people try and make money off of dogs, which is terrible. But then some people also just kind of use a rehoming fee to get those people out of the mix. So we found this ad, we emailed her, and then when we were in the middle of dinner, we got an email back saying that she's available if we want to come pick her up. And we were telling my mom, like, we were just wrapping up dinner, and we're like, Mom, like, we got to go because people want this dog, and if you want it, then we got to go. And she was like, she kept saying, like, stop, like, Papa brought us out for dinner and everything, and like we got to be respectful. And I get it. Yes, you have to be respectful, and it's very nice that Papa brought us out to dinner. But these dogs are like hard to find / valuable, and to have a chance to get one for free, and like it's going to a good home, it's like push through. So yeah, we eventually convinced her that like we kind of wrapped up probably a little bit early, and we went to go meet her, and she looked very rough at the time.
I have seen pictures, can confirm. She did look very, very shaggy.
Yeah, she was pretty shaggy. But, you know, she was Susie. She was adorable.
Little Susie Q.
And, yeah, we ended up taking her home. And my mom was very excited. And now she is the daughter that my mom never had.
Yes. Very much so.
You're technically like her daughter now, but
Like,
Susie was like the first daughter.
Susie was the OG.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, your mom loves Susie. Susie is like your mom's shadow.
Yeah, and we got Susie. I was probably in college. No. Was I?
You had to have been in college because you were in college the same time Barry was, yes?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Because Barry's graduation, I went to his graduation and like I lived like right across the street. So yeah. Yeah, so this was during college, I guess. But yeah, and you know, Susie is still with our family, and she's living the luscious life of being only daughter in the house now.
Only child in the house now.
Only child in the house.
Yeah, she gets spoiled.
So that is my pet experience from being a child up until, you know, our current day, except for Lava, you know, but that's more of our journey and not my family's journey.
You don't have any stories about your fish?
No, they all died.
Okay, I just didn't know because we had fish growing up, but my mom always got us betta fish.
They're like the angry fish, right? Like, aren't those like the fighting fish?
Yes, but they're only fighting fish if you put them in a bowl with each other. We've only at one point did we have 2 betta fish. And we got a special fish bowl that could put like a glass between the two of them. Like a piece of glass between the two of them so they couldn't fight each other.
Did they eventually fight each other?
No.
No.
They didn't.
Never fought each other.
They stayed separated.
Did they look angrily at each other through the glass?
I don't know. I didn't pay too much attention about that.
You didn't pay attention to your pets?
I didn't pay attention to them staring at each other. But we had Rainbow. And then when Rainbow died, we had another Rainbow.
Oh, wow. 2 rainbows.
We had 2 rainbows. And
did you know that they were 2 different rainbows, or did your parents do a little sneaky there?
No, we knew there were 2 different rainbows, but they had the same color. And then, so we called the other.
What color were they?
It was like a dark blue, but they had like a shimmery sheen to their scales.
Did it give a rainbow effect?
Kind of.
Okay. I was asking because I thought it was obvious that they had like a rainbow effect, but then when you were like, no, they're blue. I'm like,
no, they were like dark blue, but you know how like when the light hits them, it'll like shimmer. That's the kind of, it was like an opalescent kind of. And then when we got second rainbow, we also got Ocean. Ocean. And Ocean.
Does Ocean swim in the ocean?
No. Well, now in the ocean doesn't do a lot of swimming.
Oh.
I know. We were young.
Poor Ocean.
But Ocean was a beta that was more of like a teal color. And Ocean was Zach's fish. I think Zach liked Ocean the most out of all of us.
Is that what defines the ownership, is who likes it the most?
Like it would stay in Zach's room. When Rainbow 2.0 went to the big fishbowl in the sky.
Yeah.
Ocean went from being out in the like family room up to Zach's room. So we had Ocean, and then Ocean passed. But then somewhere in the midst there, we got Sarah. So Sarah was our dog. I call her a rescue. I call both of our, like, Lava and Sarah rescues. Did we get them from a shelter? No. But Sarah, so our neighbors, Bob and Sue, they had a little Bichon Chelsea. And whenever they had their grandkids over, they loved Chelsea. So one year for one of their birthdays, Bob and Sue got their grandkids a Bichon puppy. And their grandkids were right around that age where they loved Land Before Time. And so when Bob and Sue brought the puppy home, we got to meet her first. And we still have a picture of all of us sitting on the front steps with, like, holding Sarah. And she got the name Sarah because Sue was like, oh, I don't want this dog named, like, Petrie or Ducky or Littlefoot, just because, like, the kids were so obsessed with Land Before Time, and it was a purebred Bichon, and she's like, that just doesn't seem right. And my mom's like, oh, well, there's a little girl dinosaur called Sarah. It's spelled Cera because she's a triceratops. That's how Sarah got her name, because it was a relatively normal name.
Yeah.
Comparatively.
Did you spell, which way did you spell it?
Cera.
Okay.
And so that's how Sarah got her name. But up until this point, I always used to be terrified of dogs. Like, I would see a dog, run into the house, lock myself in my room, hyperventilate, and pass out. Like, terrified, panic attack level. And I was like 4 and 5 at the time. So when we moved into my parents' current house, our neighbors at the time, you had Ron and Mary, and you had Bob and Sue, and they both had small dogs. You had Snoopy. Ron and Mary had Snoopy, and it was a little Maltese.
Oh.
And Snoopy was such a good dog. She never ran from Ron, but I was always absolutely terrified. Like, it was ingrained in me to be terrified of dogs. And so I finally got over my fear because we were really close with Bob and Sue, and they had Chelsea, who was a Bichon. So Chelsea, I got over my fear with Chelsea. And so when they brought Sarah home, we got to play with her. They gave her to their grandkids. And then around Thanksgiving, we're all just kind of hanging out. Sue comes over, is talking to my mom, and bursts out into tears. Like, they were not treating Sarah well at all. They were coloring all over her with Sharpies, covering her in Play-Doh. She was going to get, like, she was being left out in the rain for, like, a day at a time, like, days at a time. And it was not a good home for Sarah.
Yeah, it's so sad.
And, well, it's just really sad. Like, if they say they want a dog and they're ready for it and they get a dog, like, you got to be ready for it. But at the same time, if they're like giving a dog, it's also like it's difficult because you don't always know if they're ready for the dog. So, but Sue broke down and said they weren't treating her well. They're like, we can't take care of her. So they told, like, the owners told Sue, like, you can either find a home for this dog or we will leave her on the side of the road when we drive back to Virginia Beach.
That's so sad.
Isn't that horrible?
There's just people that do that.
Like,
it's just terrible.
It's mind-boggling. Like, I don't understand how someone could do that to an animal who has done nothing but just, try to survive. It's a animal.
I know, but like,
it doesn't have a
imagine
home.
Little Lava out in the wild. She's not trained to hunt.
Do you see those twofers?
Yeah.
She ain't getting through anything.
Yeah, she bites me full force and it feels like a tickle.
Yeah, she's little twofers. So my mom and dad talked it over and we ended up with Sarah. And so we had Sarah from like 2003-ish. Up until 2017. I think it was 2016. But yeah, we had Sarah for a long time. And she wasn't doing well health-wise. They had found like masses in her stomach. She like wasn't eating very well. She wasn't able to use the restroom very well.
Yeah.
And she wasn't doing well. And so my mom like kept taking her to the vet. I swear these vets were saints dealing with my mom, because I'm pretty sure my mom called like every other day, like, I don't know, do we put her down? Do we not put her down? Like, how do you make this decision?
Yeah.
And to be fair, it's a very difficult decision. That's not an easy ask for especially for a dog that's been in your family for over 10 years.
Yeah.
So I remember I went from home or from Jefferson, because it was when I was in pharmacy school, out to a Christmas party in Malvern. And I was talking to my mom. She's like, I just want to give you a heads up. Like, your dad and I are driving home from the vet. We had to put Sarah down, this, that, and the other. And it was hard. I was like, okay, like, we all knew it was coming, but I remember just like, I was like, oh yeah, like, I'll be fine. I went to the party. I had too much to drink. I was an absolute mess about Sarah being put down. I called one of my friends from pharmacy school sobbing. And I was like, I wanted to be there. Like, I wanted to make sure she felt loved. And oh my God, I'm like getting filled up talking about this now.
Yeah. It's tough.
It is. And I remember talking to my friend from pharmacy school, and I was like, I just need to like talk to someone about this. And she's like, I'm really upset. They don't have this jacket in my color. And I was like, what? The girl I had called was out shopping for her own Christmas present so her mom could give it to her, and was not listening to a thing I had to say. And so at that point I was like, okay. And I like kind of snapped back to reality. Is like, I'm driving home. And so I literally drove back to my parents' house. I like had some water and
allegedly.
And I don't know if it was like I had too much to drink, or if it was just like I had a drink and it loosened, like kind of like helped me relax.
Yeah, too much to drink for you is like a drink and a half anyway. Yeah. And then,
but you know what I mean? Like
floodgates.
And I was outside in the cold, which kind of helped like really sober me up. And then it was like that, and then talking to my friend from pharmacy school, it just really woke me up. And I was like, what am I doing here? I'm with people that I'm not really friends with. I'm not having a good time at this party. I am calling people to like try and like talk this out, because like I'm hurting and I'm just getting nowhere. So it was like very frustrating. So I left and I was on my way home, and I called my brother, and I felt really bad because my parents had to make the decision. Do we put Sarah down before Zach comes home? Because Zach was also like, Sarah wasn't Zach's dog, but Sarah helped Zach get through a lot. And so it was like one of those things that, do we do it so Zach doesn't have to say goodbye and we don't have to do this like really like difficult thing?
Yeah.
Or do we wait until after Jake gets home so Jake can say goodbye? And it was really difficult, because it was like, if you wait for Jake, Zach's going to be home. But if you do it before Zach gets home, then Jake won't. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like a double-edged sword. So I called Jake and I told him, and he had no idea. So I felt really bad. But I like got to my parents' place and I just slept on the couch. Mm. And I like woke up in the morning and I was like I baked a lot. Like I made like 4 or 5 different batches of pancakes.
Oh, I was going to say, like, I feel like when you get in a mood or like sad or something, I feel like you do a lot of baking. Yeah, so, and that's like something I do. So when I'm stressed, when I'm sad, when it's too much, I bake. And when I bake a lot. So let's talk about our little nugget.
But I was going to say, but that was Sarah, and we still have a bunch of pictures of her. But now, like, if I think about it, I'm like, I can't even like conjure up her face, because we got the little nugget now, and
yeah,
and she's our little pride and joy. She's snuggling up with me right now.
Yeah, so we got Lava. What year did we get Lava?
We got Lava in 2019, because I kept telling you I wanted a dog, and you said graduate from pharmacy school first. I said, okay, fine. So I graduated. He said, get a job first. I said, okay, fine. I got a job. And he said, now get your license first. So I got my pharmacy license and got like a full-time pharmacist job. It like wasn't just like something lined up once I got my license.
A dog is a big commitment.
It is a big
And
commitment.
you need to have like things straightened out before you go and get something that.
And she's one of my favorite commitments.
Yeah. So, yeah, we ended up finding Lava on Craigslist. Very similar to Susie. Very similar situation.
When Chris says we, he means he found her on Craigslist?
I found her on Craigslist. And we got her from a lady in Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
Yes.
Who has, I think she had 6 kids at the time, and she was giving birth to her 7th soon.
No,
or
so
7 kids
at the time so when we got her, she had 7 kids, but number 6 and 7 were twins that she had just given birth to. So she had just given birth to twins, and her oldest for the 7. So the twins were like 3 or 4 weeks old. And then the oldest was like 13. So she had run the gamut through all of them. I don't know if she was working as well or not. That is, we've never really been able to figure out if she was working with the kid while she had all the kids or not. But she decided with number 6 and 7 that a dog was too much. Now, she said she got this dog from the breeder, and she was the only family that Lava had throughout like her life. And it was honestly, the whole thing was kind of sad because they're like, yeah, we've been her only owner, but you know, with 7 kids, it's just too much to have a dog. And it blew my mind that I'm not saying that I'm surprised that they chose their kids over a dog. I'm not saying that. But it blew my mind that they did not consider the dog and everything else going on when they were having the twin. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's hard to explain.
You also don't know you're having twins until you're having twins. Right?
But either way, I feel like even with 6 kids, it might have been too much. You know?
I just don't know. You know, whatever floats their boat, but they know what they're capable of, so they knew that she would have a better home, you know, outside of their home.
And she does.
And she does. She's such a little nugget.
She went from being a dog in a 7-child household to being a dog in a 0-child household with a millennial mom that acts like she is my real child.
Yeah, pretty much. You even tag Dog Mom in our Instagram posts.
Yeah, because I am one. Even though you don't acknowledge it for Mother's Day. I take her to the vet. I make sure she gets groomed. I make sure she gets breakfast and dinner. I always check in every day. Did she go for a walk? I'm always trying to make sure she's being she's being taken care of well. On her birthday, she gets ice cream.
Doggy ice cream.
Yes, doggy ice cream. And she has 2 beds in the house. Like a dog bed in the library here where we record. And the dog bed up in your office.
But she has so many beds.
And then she has the comfy that she stole from me that my mom gave me for Christmas. Yeah, and within like 2 weeks, Lava had claimed it as her own.
That's in the family room. We have the dog bed here in the library.
She also has her blankie here in the library.
Yeah, she has a dog bed up in my office. She has the huge blanket in our bedroom. And then she also uses our bed too.
She does. She does try to kick me off of the bed.
And today she was up on the windowsill in there. I had to put a blanket up there for her.
Did she jump up there?
She jumped up there by herself, and she was just sitting there in the sun, and then I went and brought her blankie over to her.
Yeah, she does like to sit and bask in the sun. But that is our little nugget, and we definitely had a scare with our little nugget. I think 3 or 4 months after we got her.
Oh, Jamie's just yawning big time now.
I'm sorry. But Was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Did you want to go into the whole
I was going
situation?
to, but I didn't know if you wanted to bring up anything else about getting her before we jumped into her drug addiction.
Oh, well, when we got her though, we brought her to we brought her to PetSmart, and that's where she picked out her avocado. She has this avocado that has a squeaker toy in there, but we didn't let her get the one in the store because
She found it under a shelf.
Yeah, there was only one, and it was under a shelf, and it was super dusty and dirty. But we left the dog store just getting like some essential stuff, but then we definitely ordered her that same exact avocado toy because she loved it so much.
She did,
and that's her little avocado.
Thanks. Yeah, we did. And I actually remember when we got Lava, I told my brothers, but I called them to tell them, and I told them, don't tell Mom, because the day after we picked her up, my mom was coming up to stay with us because she and I were going to the outlets. And so I think I drove down to Maryland and picked her up. And then I like brought her back to our apartment. And then we were like coming in the door, and she heard barking, and she's like, no. And then she went in and got to meet Bubba. Lava is the name she came with. We decided if we were changing everything else in her life that we were going to leave her name as is.
Yeah, we call her so many different things. So.
She responds to just about anything else at this point.
Yeah, we call her Bubba, Nuggy, Nugget,
Daba, Turd Smuggler. Yeah, we call her a lot of things.
Yeah. Sometimes you just make up names, and she just comes over because you use that high-pitched voice, and she knows it's about her.
And when we got Lava, she came with nothing other than a collar and a leash. No toys, no food, no bed, no nothing. She had, and I am grateful because the day we got her, Chris texted me. He's like, if you want her this place, this time, this is who you're meeting. And so I said, okay. And so I went around our apartment, made sure it was doggy proofed. And then I went and I went to the grocery store, and I got her a little lamb chop, and I got her some treats. And I think I got a small thing of dog food because I didn't know like what she ate, how much she ate, all that kind of stuff. So I like, if it weren't for that, we would have had nothing for her.
Yeah.
But then we had her crated for a little bit. She didn't like being crated. So
the crating process was terrible because we lived in an apartment where it was a two-story building, but the first floor was for us, second floor was for neighbors, and
it was more like a duplex. It was more like a side-by-side where they just turned the one side into apartments.
Yeah. So that's true. Like it shared a wall with neighbors next door who they owned that unit, so they owned both the first and second floor, and that was all like one house. And then we were in the first floor, and then the second floor was a different apartment. And I remember setting up a security camera to like point towards her, and I remember I streamed it to a URL because it was Lava Patrol what I named the little website. But that's how I could look at the security camera when I was at work, and she would sit there and bark and bark and bark and rip up the pee pads in the crate for hours.
Yep.
It was very very sad to watch when I was at work and I was just seeing this happen at the apartment.
It would break my heart every time I had to lock her up so I could go to work. So we left her out, and instead we just sequestered her off to a small portion with the baby gate that we got from Chris's mom.
Yeah.
And that worked out. And then one night, one day, I think it was a Saturday. Are you
talking about the accident?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was probably like a Friday. Because we had I think it was the Dirty Santa ride dirt bike ride.
Was that Saturday?
Was on like a Saturday or whatever. But I had something. I had a dirt bike ride to go on the weekend, and I left the night before to go stay at Barry's house or my brother's house.
Now, mind you, at this point in our relationship, Chris had not. Were we engaged at this point? We weren't engaged at this point.
Yeah.
We were engaged a year later.
Yeah.
Or were we?
I don't think we were engaged.
I think we were. TBD. I'll go back and look at pictures because Lava had a very distinct haircut before and after we got her. And I think in our engagement photos, she had the before, like the engagement photos that we took in my parents' house. I think she had the before
Maybe.
cut. Anyway, that's beside the point. Focus. We are we're living together, and Chris and I have been living together for maybe like 6-7 months at this point. He did not have a duffel bag. Whenever we did any overnight trips, he would either pack stuff in my duffel or he would just throw things in a plastic bag.
A grocery bag from like Walmart or something.
Yeah, or like a Giant or something like that. So he did that, and then he was taking medication because he had hurt his arm. So he had like the regular like Tums and Pepcid and vitamin D allergy meds, but he also had naproxen, and NSAIDs are not good for dogs.
Naproxen in like a very strong quantity.
Yeah.
For even a human, right? I mean,
yeah, it's prescription strength only naproxen. It's not like the Aleve. It's like over 2 times the strength of the Aleve that's over the counter. So he packed everything up and left. I was working a 12-hour shift. I had 3 12-hour shifts in a row that weekend. And I went to work while he was still home. He packed everything up and left. I came home. It was like, I think like 8:30 at night, 9 o'clock at night. I come home and I walk in, and Lava is so happy to see me. She's jumping around everywhere. And so I say, okay, well, let's get you dinner because I don't know how much you ate in the last time you ate. So I pick up, and near the front like doormat, it looks like she had either peed or something. It was like something liquidy. So I knew I was gonna have to clean it up. I'm like, let's just get you fed and then we'll clean up afterwards. So I move the baby gate, get her fed. I'm cleaning up, so I see that, and then I see other spots of what looks like liquid of some sort, and I later found out it was vomit tracing into the bedroom. So, and I see that she had vomited all over our bed and it was like streaked with blood, and it was red or pink, and I looked and I saw the baggie that was empty, and I turn around to see her because I hear her start hacking, and she is vomiting up all of the dinner she just ate right in the doorway of our bedroom. So I'm like, okay, let's go outside. So I take her outside so she can pee and poop and, do all of her stuff. And that way, if she has to throw up, she can throw up outside. And I call the vet, and they're like, if this is an emergency, press 1. So I talked to the vet, and I told her everything that was in the bag. I think I texted you at that point.
You called me.
I was like, what was in the bag?
Yeah.
And so they said, oh, if it's, because I thought it was just like Pepcid and stuff. And I was like, it's Pepcid and Zyrtec. She's like, it should be fine. So I said, okay. I called Chris to find out. He's like, oh, there's naproxen. There were like 3 tablets of naproxen. So I called the nurse back, and she's like, you have to take her to the ER. And I was like, where is there a close 24-hour vet ER? And so I drove her to this ER. And
which actually wasn't that far away.
It wasn't that far away, but I was like exhausted from a day of work. My adrenaline is spiked because I'm like, this poor thing. Like, I have her in my lap wrapped up in a towel because I don't want her throwing up everywhere. As I'm trying to peel out of our street, this Amazon driver stops me and is like, oh, do you live at like this place? And like, she called me because it was something like I had to sign for. She had to hand off to someone. And I was like, yes. And she's like, oh, I'm here with your package. I'm like, bruh, I got a dying dog in my hands. Like, can you please not? So, like, I rolled down the window and she handed it to me. I just, like, dropped it on my seat. And I was like, I'm flying all the way down to this, like, vet ER. I like, send her in. I give them the list of meds that she had taken. And they take her in. I was like, I don't know what time. So they can't even pump her stomach. And I'm, like, sobbing on the phone to my mom. I didn't want to call Chris because I didn't want to stress him out.
You did call me, though.
But I didn't, like, I called you, but, like, I was, like, sobbing to my mom.
You were sobbing when you called me.
I tried to keep it together, though.
Yeah.
Because, like, I didn't want you to, like, worry.
Oh, I was worried. I didn't even think I was going to go the next day. I was just going to come home after.
Yeah, and
after I woke up.
So, Lava, literally the vet comes out and the first thing she talks to me about is dialysis for dogs. And she said there are only 2 places really in the area that does it. One's in, like, northern New Jersey and the other one's in DC. I'm like, Jesus Christ. It's midnight. They're telling me I have to go get this medication from a pharmacy. So I have to go to my pharmacy because I worked at a 24-hour store to go get it.
Yeah.
And they're talking about putting my dog on dialysis. So I was, like, hyper stressed out. We didn't know what was going on. And then she gets admitted to the ICU and she's in the ICU for about a week. Yeah, we're talking about you. Yes, we are. Like, she had 2 different blood transfusions. Did you go to visit her the one time?
I went, like, multiple times.
Did
I think
you?
I went twice. Yeah.
Because I remember the one time I went right after work and they're like, yeah, like, we just can't get her to eat. So she, like,
I remember we brought a ton of different things to get her to eat it when we were there.
Yep. And she was in the ICU for a week. She had 2 blood transfusions. Like, this dog went through everything. And, like, I felt bad because the vet called me at, like, 7 a.m. and she's like, I'm really sorry to wake you up. And I was like, I got to get up and go to work because I couldn't find anyone to cover my shift. So I still had to go to work and everything. I came home, found Chris, like, curled up, snuggling with one of Lava's toys.
I was so sad.
Oh, my gosh. But she came out. She came through. The last night there, they said, hey, we just need someone to, like, we need her to eat before we can release her. We can't release her without her eating and knowing she's not going to, like, hack everything up. I showed up, no joke. I had peanut butter. I had treats from the PetSmart next door. I had rawhides. I had French fries from McDonald's. And they're like, well, we'd like not to give her that. And I was like, listen, you need her to eat? I'll get her to eat. But, like, you got to let me do it on my terms. I want my dog home.
Yeah.
And she ate a little bit and she finally came home. And she was on, like, 4 or 5 different medications when she came home.
She looked terrible, too, because they had to shave, like, the bottom of all of her legs. So she had, like, these little pom-poms as paws.
She was supposed to get groomed, I think, like, that week that she was in the vet. And so I had to call and cancel the appointment. And being so close to Christmas, because it was between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get her in anywhere other than PetSmart. So I had to take her to a PetSmart where she was, like, stuck in a cage the whole time. But she was so scruffy. She literally had, like,
really scruffy,
chicken legs.
Except for the chicken legs.
She had chicken legs and then she had her pom-poms and she was so, like, overgrown. It was nuts. But yeah, she had a little drug problem for a while. But she came out the other end.
And she's so happy.
She is happy. Now she's a brat. We've spoiled her rotten. She will sit in the sunshine and slap the ground with her paw, saying that she wants pets. And so we'll get up to give her pets and sit down next to her, and then she'll move. She'll get up and move.
She wants attention now.
Do you want to come here? Do you want to get down? Okay. Ready? Whoop. Here we go. Is that okay?
She has such
Okay.
attitude with minimal, like she doesn't bark much except for when she's trying to get your attention on the couch. And this is mostly my problem,
It's
but
his fault.
it's
Cause
just she's so cute.
he would sit there. She never used to be as vocal as she is. And the reason she's vocal now is because Chris would sit there and like to try and get her to play or anything. He'd be like, "Arr,
Yeah, I give her
arr,"
I make noises and I bark at her. And then she starts
started
to bark
barking
at
back.
me. Yeah, and then we play.
Yeah, but she never used to bark like that or even do that to get attention until Chris started it. And now, like I said, she'll sit there and whine at you and growl at you and bark at you if you're not giving her attention. But then if you go to give her attention, she'll run away. And you're like, I don't know what you want. You'll try to take her outside and she'll be like, nah, I don't really want to go out.
But it's Daba.
I know, but she's so cute.
Yeah, we're going to have to straighten our act up when we have kids.
Yeah.
But for now, it's just Lava.
It's just
and
Bubba.
She could do whatever she wants. Right, Lava? She's not paying attention to us. Hey, there you are.
It's past her bedtime.
Yeah, it's like past our bedtime, too.
It's always past my bedtime. But
Is there anything else you want to cover in the pet realm?
My grandma used to have a pet snail. Like algae eating snail that would always come up to the front of the fishbowl or the tank or whatever whenever, I think it was Oprah. It was either Ellen or Oprah. But whenever that one came on, the snail would come around to the front and watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now my grandma has a cat that had like 13 teeth pulled.
What's that YouTube thing that you like watching?
Marcel the Shell?
Yeah, Marcel the
Marcel
Shell.
the Shell with shoes on.
Yeah. That when you said a snail, it reminded me of that. I don't know.
But he's a shell, not a snail.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lava is our pride and joy right now. She actually didn't. She went for a walkie today.
She didn't poop though, right?
She didn't.
That's a big deal here in this household.
Listen,
everybody's required to poop at least once a day.
So my biggest concern with and this happened after her whole stint in the ICU. She I don't want to say she had problems going to the bathroom, but it was like a little touch and go where it was like I know this is exactly what you guys want to hear when you're listening to our podcast, but her bowel movements were just not regular. And with all the GI issues that she had, we were just kind of like on high alert about everything. So we'd always ask, oh, did she go for a walk? Did she poop? Like, was it hard? Was it soft? Like making sure like she was on the road to recovery and was doing better. But I think that just kind of got us used to asking about it. So now
it's a daily conversation.
It's a regular conversation. Did she walk? Did she poop? That is literally how we talk. That's like how we greet each other on the phone. It's like, hey, how's your day? Lava go for a walk? Did she eat? Did she poop?
Yep. So I think we're going to wrap it up here. If you have any recipes that you want us to try or cocktail recipes, feel free to send that to diariesofaworkingcouple@gmail.com.
Or slide into our DMs at Diaries of a Working Couple on Instagram.
Yeah. And we'll see you later.
Bye, guys.